Okay, so at the top of your second page, you have steps for solving using SOHCAHTOA. Remember, the sign is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Those are not going to change. But when we're solving, you will need your calculator today for some things. So when we're solving, we have to go through and use this. So the first thing you're going to circle the angle they give you or the angle you want to find. That's the first thing we're going to do. And then we're going to label or mark in reference to that. So we'll mark the adjacent, opposite, hypotenuse. Okay? Now the pairing thing, I'm really kind of confused. Maybe it's sine, but I don't know. If that's really important, I will get it to you, but I'm not thinking. I think that's something I need to exclude. Okay, so sine was what over what again?
Opposite hypotenuse over hypotenuse.
Okay, opposite and hypotenuse.
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
I need to reposition. Sorry, guys.
You're wasting our work time.
I know, I am. I apologize, Tyson. I don't want to waste your time. Okay.
Blaine gave me the bad finger.
You just gave it.
Okay, I'm sure everyone in the world wants to hear that one. And both of you guys need to grow. Okay, so sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we will be looking at a specific angle, like this one. If we wanted that angle, then we will label, well, this is H, yes? And to this angle, this is O, and this is A. What's O stand for? What's O stand for? Opposite. What's A stand for? Adjacent. Adjacent means touching, yes?
Yes.
Now, can this other line ever, can the hypotenuse ever be the adjacent or the opposite?
No.
No, it can't be. It doesn't work.
I have a question. So
Yes.
on the assignment, when it has is the letters and then there's numbers, it's 30 or 60. Well, which one do you decide out of those to use? For
It will just, if I want 30, so opposite of 30, remember we said was A, but we said 1 because everything reduces. So this would be 60, and I know opposite 60 is square root of 3, and I know opposite 90 is 2. Yes?
so we're still using that square.
You still have
So
to use
30,
your
60.
special, yep,
Oh, okay.
yep. You
Okay,
still
I'll
have
redo
to,
my assignment then.
yeah. If you didn't do that, you guys need to go back and use your 30, 60, 90, 45, 40 on those, because that's what,
Okay.
yep. 30, 60, 90, 45, 40 does not ever go away. When you guys get into trig, they're starting to use those. They have their review. Look, their review is Friday. They're going to use a worksheet that you guys did. So if I can learn,
Let's get on the tree.
if I can learn that now, and when I get to pre-calc, I can just refresh it and I'm good, right? So I want to get it into cold storage, move it back out of my frontal lobe. And the next is to set up your equation and solve for the missing sides. Okay, so down here, I told you to do this one on your own. Okay, the smallest angle. Which one of these is the smallest angle?
The 3.
Across from the 3, yes?
Yeah.
So this is the angle I'm looking at. How did I know that this angle was the smallest angle?
Because it's across from the smallest number.
It's across from the shortest side, so it has to be the smallest angle, doesn't it?
5.
Okay? So if I want the sine and cosine of this, so this is the angle I have, yes?
Yeah.
I'm circling it. So this is my H, this is my O,
And that's your A.
and this is my A. So sine of theta, remember theta just means an angle, right? And sine is what over what? Opposite over hypotenuse. So it is 3 over 5. Do you see how if I label them, I'm just filling in the blanks, right? So cosine of theta. Now if if this had an A or a B or a W on the angle, we'd put that there instead of theta, wouldn't we? But we don't have that. So cosine is whatever what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So 4 over 5. Okay, so today we are not just going to find sides, we're also going to find angles. So we want the measure of the largest acute angle. Well, it has to say acute angle because the largest angle is 90 degrees, correct? And we know it's 90. That was easy. So I need the largest acute angle.
So
it'd be 5.
It's across from what?
12.
12. So we're going to circle it because that's what we want, right?
What?
That's the angle we want. Or you could just put a what there? Could I put an X there? Yeah? Okay. Well, we'll just call it X. So we're going to label it. So this is opposite. Yes? 12 is opposite.
Yeah.
13 is hypotenuse. And 5 is adjacent. Now, normally they are not going to give you all 3 sides. They're going to give you only 2. Does that make sense? So, now I've got to pick which function I want to use. If I didn't give you the hypotenuse, what function would you have to use? Sine, cosine, or tangent?
Tangent.
I'd have to use tangent because tangent is the only one that has the opposite and the adjacent, correct? If I didn't give you the adjacent, you'd have to use cosine. Because cosine involves, I said adjacent, but I covered over opposite. If I didn't give you opposite, you'd have to use cosine, correct? Because I have adjacent and hypotenuse. What happens if I didn't give you the adjacent?
It'd be opposite and...
It'd be opposite and hypotenuse, which is sine. Do you see how that works?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll set this up in all of them. I'll set up sine, cosine, and tangent, and we'll just solve one. Got it? Okay, so sine of x equals, well, sine of x would be what? Opposite over hypotenuse, so it'd be 12 over 13. We still don't know the angle yet, do we?
No.
But we have that, don't we? Okay, the cosine of x
5 over 13.
would be 5 over 13. And the tangent of x
5 over 12.
would be,
Wait,
no, 12 over 5. So in this case, I could use any of the 3, correct?
Yeah.
And I would probably lay money that you guys would all
So
choose
then the
sine.
largest would be 12 over 13.
So what?
Never mind.
No, that's all the largest. It's all a way to find the largest. And we can do it. We can do it all. So we got to get to that x, yes? So like if that was x squared, we'd take the square root of it, wouldn't we? Or if it was the square root of it, we would square it. Those are inverse functions of each other. They undo each other so we can grab it out. So there are inverse functions of sine, cosine, and tangent as well. So when we have it like this, and we need to get to that x, but we can't because sine's there, right? We take the inverse sine of 12/13 is equal to x. It's a new function,
Like,
okay? It's just a new function I'm talking about. You're not going to have to do it. Our calculator is going to do it for us. But we have to know to put it in this form, okay? It's just like, what do we do to get rid of a square root? Square it. What do we do to get x squared away? We take the square root. It's the same thing. So guess what we do to cosine then? We take the inverse cosine of 5/13 equals x. And then guess what you do with tangent? The inverse tangent of 12/5 equals x. So all of these numbers should come out the same, yes?
Yeah.
Or approximately the same. So every single one of those I put in my calculator, they should come out the same. So you need your calculator because everyone needs to know how to use these buttons.
Nope. Don't know how.
Now on a test, guys, This gets you 3.5 points.
3.5.
The final answer gives you your other half. Make sense?
You move so I can see that. What is that?
Inverse tangent, inverse sine, and inverse cosine.
No, what are those? What's that X? The last one?
Approximately. Which?
The squiggly?
Yeah, that means approximately.
It looks like an X.
Oh, okay. What function is this, guys? What is this? What is it?
Square.
Inverse. Make sure you got inverse there. Okay, you know it's inverse. And we use an inverse function to find what? Yeah, but what are we finding of the triangle? Yep. Add that. You might want to highlight that. That's like important. Inverse to find angles. So on your calculator, can everybody see the inverse? It's probably seconds. Does everyone see sine, cosine, and tangent?
No. I don't have it.
I had to go to trig.
Today, Jane.
Stop. Okay, you guys see the pi button?
Which one?
Yeah, you go second
Okay,
pi.
second pi says trig. Hit second pi. Those of you who have your own scientific, it just says, go ahead, second pi. Those of you who just have a scientific, it should be on there. Right here, sine, cosine, tangent. You see the inverse? So you'll just hit your second button for those to get directly
My
to it.
second, so.
You would put like for, you put, where's your second, where's that button? Shift. Just shift, there, and then you put the fraction in.
Okay.
Okay,
How do you do it?
did you find yours?
I found the thingy, but I can't get the negative one.
Is it seconded? Yeah, you see how it's right above it? So you hit shift. Yep. Okay, now everyone with the yellow calculator,
Yeah.
you hit the trig,
Don't know.
and then there's sine, cosine, tangent, and you keep going down, and there'll be inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse
Should it look
tangent.
like that?
Yes, you see sine, cosine, tangent, then keep arrowing down, just a second,
Do I have to put equal X or just have that?
not just that. Juan, you need to be doing this with us.
Oh.
Okay, so second,
It won't let me put it in the fractions. How do you do it?
you should be able, you have to hit enter on what you want. Go down to what, okay, you have yours
Enter?
usually easy, see,
Where's
this is
enter?
sine, cosine, tangent, and to get to the blue, you just hit second. So you just hit second
Oh.
sine,
So what do I do? Cause I had the pi sign in there.
second sine, there. Same thing,
Now
you
what
hit
I do?
trig,
I just pick
and then
12.
just put it in. Put 12/13.
So then when I.
Okay, when you get inverse sine, you hit enter on inverse sine on the yellow ones. And you put 12 divided by 13. So in
What
your,
about the inverse?
I got 60.
You have to arrow down to the inverse.
13505.
I got 12.
That's
Okay.
how you get
13.
listen, everyone listen. You hit second trig,
Yeah.
arrow down till you get inverse sine.
Wait, it's not coming up anymore.
Inverse sine.
Inverse sine with the -1.
Don't throw your calculator, Tyson.
And then put 12 divided by 13 in there. Now, you should get, you guys probably aren't in the right mode.
So put it on as a fraction,
Just,
right?
yes, you should, no, I'm not in the right mode either.
So 12 divided by 13.
So it'd be 67. Point.
You should
38.
67.4. Now,
I got 67.38.
which would be 4 degrees.
Okay, they all.
Okay, if you did not get 67.4 degrees, you are in the wrong mode.
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you still got 20.
Okay, I got,
Did you just round up?
and then I got
Yeah.
42.7.
Okay, let's see what's wrong with it.
Maybe I did it wrong.
Try it again.
This is your
Okay, you should get the same thing for all three, yes?
Yeah, I do.
I am not doing something right.
And then press on
Okay, I want everybody, I will be right there, Nicole.
Okay,
I want did you this time?
high with
yeah, I got it.
You must have just hit something funny.
If you
Okay,
would
so
put
all
that-
three of them, you should get approximately 67.4 degrees. Make sure your degree is on that.
Have to clear it out and do it again, like second tray.
Yeah, you have to
Okay,
hit
I'm on
second.
this one.
Oh.
Okay, so hit enter.
Do that?
Hit
Oh,
enter.
you
wait,
remember
and then
how
put-
to do that?
12 divided by 13.
Do it. Right now.
Harrison, I'm not helping you.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, did everyone get 67.4?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so in this case, it didn't matter which one I used. Okay? But like I said, normally they'll only give you 2 of them, and then you have to fit 2 sides of the triangle, and you have to figure out which function you're going to use. So let's do the next ones. And remember, we use inverse when we're looking for angle, yes? So you will set it up like this, and then your second step will be like that. So we want the measure of A and B. So A and B added together should always equal what? Not 180, what? 90, because we have a 90-degree angle, yes? The other two have to be complementary to each other. They have to be 90. So the measure of A, so if I want A, so what do I have of A? What is this? Of angle A,
one is
adjacent and
hypotenuse.
hypotenuse. Okay?
And you're
So
on
what function is adjacent? Cosine.
cosine.
So the measure of angle A, we are going to use the cosine of x equals what?
Would it be 1 over 4?
1 over 4. So then, actually this should be like this. Actually, don't write it. Go. I want you guys to write it down. I need to start
Will
modeling.
we use that negative, that inverse always?
When you're finding an angle, yes. Okay, so the measure of angle A is the cosine of x equals 1 over 4. And how are we going to get the angle out of there? We're going to use the what? What word? Inverse. Cosine of 1/4. Now we're not going to put in my calculator yet. That equals x. I'm not going to put in my calculator yet because I have another angle to do, don't I? When I do a problem, I set them both up and then go use my calculator. Rather than going back and forth to my calculator, keep your brain in the same mode. Does that make sense?
My brain is always in the calculator, man.
Always. And once we put it into a calculator, it's an approximate answer, isn't it? So we need to put approximately. So then I want angle B, and we'll call angle B Y. Can we call it Y? So now what do I have of Y?
Would it be 1? It'd be 4.
But what is 1? To Y, what is it?
Adjacent.
It's not adjacent to Y, it's the
Opposite.
opposite. The hypotenuse is the hypotenuse always. But that side changed, didn't it, depending on what angle I was
So,
at?
would it be 1 over 4 again then?
Well, but what function? So I
It'd
got
be
the measure
sine, it'd be sine.
of B is going to be the sine of Y equals 1/4 again. And how do I get the angle then? I use the what?
Wait, what?
The-
Say that again?
How do I get the angle? I use what function? The inverse sine of 1/4 equals my x, and then when I do it, I'll get an approximate answer, right? So now you're gonna go to your calculator. So the calculator is like a side note. It's not the huge portion of it, is it? Okay, so always round to the nearest tenth, I think is what they ask you, but read your directions. I got 75.5
What?
for
Would it be 75?
A, and I got 14.5 for B. Did you guys agree?
Is this
Yeah,
for
that's what I
one,
got.
the first and the second one?
No, this is just for this.
So are those the answers?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Angle B is approximately 14.5, and angle A is approximately 75.5. Now, guys, I should check. Do those add up to to 90? Do they?
Yes.
Yes. What happens if they they added to 90.1? Then I need to change my decimal, right? I need to round correctly. I probably didn't round correctly, did I? They need to equal 90. What happens if they're 89.9?
Didn't go round.
You didn't round correctly. You have to round correctly. They have to equal exactly 90, don't they? Okay, next one. Am I going to do this one any different?
No.
No. But this one, they gave me all three sides, so can I choose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can choose, can't I? So I want you to find A and B. Now this time you're using a calculator, so you don't have to rationalize. You can have a square root in the denominator if you want. But you know, if it was me, I wouldn't use sine or cosine because I wouldn't want to use the square root of 34.
I would.
I don't care what you do. Find A and B. You do it. I'll give you a minute head
They
start.
don't use sine or cosine?
No, you use whatever you want
Why wouldn't you want to use sine or cosine?
because I wouldn't want to mess with the square root of 34.
Oh.
If I don't have to, I don't have to, right? But if I had to, I would.
So what would you use then?
Well, what doesn't use the hypotenuse?
Oh.
What function doesn't use the hypotenuse?
And
Tangent. Please say the whole words, guys.
tangent.
Tangent. So I personally would use tangent, but should I get the same as somebody who doesn't use tangent?
No.
Yeah. So don't everybody use tangent. But use whatever you want.
Okay.
So I set all three up for all, depending on whichever one you wanted.
Dang.
So if you were to use sine, so on angle B, if you were to use sine, would it be 3 over 34, right?
Square root of 34, yes.
So it'd be 3 over square root of 34, right?
Mhm, yes.
Okay, so.
And sometimes people get just stuck. They're like, I'm going to use sine every single time. Well, if you can, go for it. It doesn't matter. I get the same answer either way if I do it right. So for A, you should have got approximately 59 degrees. And it rounded to 59.0, didn't it?
Yeah,
And then for B, you should get approximately 41.0.
I got 30.9.
Well, it should be
was
30.96, which would round your 9, it would round all of it up,
solid. Oh yeah.
wouldn't it? So do I have to make sure I round correctly?
Yes.
Yes. Now, here's a secret to rounding. What I would do, on my personal paper where I have more room, I would write, the first thing I would write was 59.03, because that 3 is going to determine the 10th, right? And over here, I would write 30.96. I'd write those two things. Because if I rounded, like Juan just rounded, and he would have been off. He would have been off like a 10th, I think. Or you would have been over a 10th. So then he can come back and he goes, oh, wait a second. This 6 makes the 9 a 10, which makes it 31. Now, when I'm round, or 41, it should be 31, not 41, sorry. It should be 31, yep. Now, when I'm rounding, do I have to put the 0.0 there?
No. Oh, you do.
I do. If it says round to the nearest 10th, do I have to put something on the 10th? Yes, even if it's 0. Questions, guys? Did it go okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was alright.
Okay. I think we have one more, don't we? 2? Okay. What are the measure of M and T, or S and T? So we don't have a choice here, do we?
No.
Nope.
It'd be adjacent.
So if I have T, we're going to name it, well, we'll just name it T. We want this angle, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I want,
Wouldn't that change the opposite then?
well, if it's on tangent, we don't have opposite. We have what?
Adjacent.
Adjacent.
Hypotenuse, so-
We have adjacent and hypotenuse. So we have adjacent and hypotenuse. What function is that?
Tangent. I don't know.
What function, Nicole, what function is adjacent?
What's that C word?
Adjacent.
Which one has adjacent over hypotenuse?
For,
Like the 10 or
cosine.
the 4?
Cosine.
Shut up.
Nicole!
I didn't know how to
Is
say
it A the 4?
Yes,
You got it already, Nicole.
but is it sine, cosine, or tangent?
Tangent? Or no, cosine.
Cosine. So it's cosine of t equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's what?
What do you want, Tyson?
4 over 10. Gentlemen, please stop. You should be writing. Okay, so your pencil should be in your hand. So how do I find the angle then?
Adjacent over.
Inverse cosine of 4 over 10. And I could reduce that, right? If I wanted to. Could I reduce it? Yeah. Okay, now before we put in that our calculator, we're going to find angle S. Nope, angle,
Can I see that real quick?
uh-huh. Angle S. In reference to angle S, what do we have? We have the what?
4.
And 4 is what position of S? Opposite or adjacent?
Adjacent.
Opposite.
Opposite, it's across. So it's opposite, we have opposite and we have hypotenuse. So what function are we going to use? Sine. So sine of S is going to equal 4 over 10. So how do I figure out S? Inverse sine
Inverse.
of 4 over 10. You guys see why I like to write it down and then go to my calculator? What? No, it's fine.
Would it be X like equals or whatever? If you want, can you put X there?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because you're not.
So
It
why do you put
automatic-
X on the other ones then.
Oh, could you put X instead of T and S? Yes.
No, not that. Like
You
know
can-
what-
you
know
can-
what this squiggly lines? You
Okay,
put
it could-
X there
Listen,
for that.
you could put you could write this. This is what I did on the other ones. You could do that.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I thought you meant in your calculator.
Oh, no.
I'm like, no, you can't put an X in your calculator. But make sure you always use what function when you want to get an angle. What function? The inverse. I get 66.4 degrees and 23.6.
Can't you round that up though? Because it's 5.
That's what she did.
I did. It was 5. It was
Oh.
5.7.
I forgot how to round. I feel like I'm dumb now, honestly.
We can go back to rounding.
Okay,
No,
do I
I'm
get
honestly
90?
Dumb.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, last example.
Is anybody replace it?
So to check it, you can always just like add them
Yes,
together.
you always should check.
think so.
You always should take a minute to add those and make sure they add up to 90. Always. Unless they don't ask you to find both.
Yeah.
I was asking you to find both just because I could use one triangle for basically 2 examples. Okay, so a plane takes off and climbs at a 12-degree angle. Is this angle sufficient enough to fly over a 11,088 foot mountain at 12.5 miles away? So I need to draw myself a picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a plane takes off and look what I have. I have a what?
A ramp.
I have a ramp and I have a right triangle, don't I?
No, that's just a ramp.
Okay. So the plane is taking off right here. There's the plane. I don't even know. There's the tail fin. There you go. Looks like a shark with wings. Anyway, plane is taking off, yes? It said this is what?
12 degrees.
12 degrees. And it says my runway. What's my runway? My opposite or my adjacent?
Opposite.
My runway?
Right, adjacent.
My adjacent. Here's my runway, yes?
Yeah.
So it's 12.5 miles, 12.5 miles.
Yeah.
So it wants to know if I'm going to get to because I got to go over 11,088 feet if the mountain is that tall, correct? Yes?
Yes.
So I need to find what? The opposite? Would that be the opposite? Okay. Runways are on grounds, yes? So when we read these problems, we need to make a triangle and think about where things are. I have flagpole problems, and people put the flagpole as the hypotenuse. Unless it's blown over, is the flagpole the hypotenuse?
No.
No, it is the leg that's standing straight up, correct? Okay, so I need to figure out that x, and it better be greater than 11,088 feet to fly over it, correct? So I have 12, I have the opposite, and I have the adjacent. So what function am I in? Tangent. So I have the tangent of 12 equals the opposite over the adjacent. So I need to solve just for x, don't I? Well, x divided by, how do I undo division? Times, so I'm going to times by 12.5 on both sides, right? So I have x equals 12 tangent of 12 degrees, 12.5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Too many 12s. 12.5 times tangent of 12 degrees. And I can use my calculus. Honestly, that's my problem, right? I just need to see if it's greater than what?
11,000.
88. Okay, so I do what with this? I put it in my what? Calculator. Okay,
So.
I put 12.5.
Wait, in
Where do you go to
tangent?
No. In my calculator, I put 12.5.
Okay.
And then I go to my trig stuff and grab tangent function. Those of you that don't, you just hit tangent. and then hit 12, enter, and then 12. And you should get
2.65, which would go up to 2.7.
Wait, what do you put after?
Oh, this is 2.7 miles, yes? Yes?
Yeah.
But that's in feet. So I have to put these miles into feet, don't I? How many feet are in a mile? 5,280 feet
Oh yeah.
in 1 mile.
I knew that.
If you didn't, you need to write that down.
If you don't know.
Okay, so I need to multiply 2.7 by 5,280, don't I? So I have 2.7 times 5,280.
Wait, what'd you do?
I put this times 5,280. And I got 1,4,2,5,6 feet.
No, yes, it does.
Will it get over that mountain?
Yeah.
Yes.